It was a very packed house at Vancouver City Hall last night. City Council began a public hearing into a proposal to regulate marijuana dispensaries in the city. About 170 people signed up to speak, and the meeting only managed to hear from 17 of them before calling it a night. City Council will resume the meeting tonight, but it could go on for days. There are now close to 100 medical marijuana dispensaries in Vancouver, and the city is proposing new regulations to license them and control their rapid growth. Pamela McColl was one of the people there last night. Although she is not signed up to speak, she is with a group called Smart Approaches to Marijuana Canada, and she joins us now from Victoria by phone. Hello, Pamela.
Hello.
And Dana Larsen is a marijuana advocate who owns 2 marijuana dispensaries in Vancouver, and he joins us now from our Shaw Tower studio. Hello, Dana. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So, Pamela, you were there last night, and you have some very strong views on whether this public meeting should even be happening at all.
Right. Well, I don't think it should be happening. These dispensaries are illegal. Dana Larsen is breaking the laws of this country, and he's not just breaking the laws of this country by running 2 dispensaries, but he's been running workshops, and I hold him personally accountable for the fact that we have 98 dispensaries in Vancouver that are all illegal and has enticed the black market and organized crime and the Hells Angels into our city to masquerade and hide within these dispensaries and pose a public threat. I also charge very strongly against Dana Larsen for paying people to make their way to City Hall, for organizing what they're saying, and for what I say is taking a step towards Canada becoming a narco nation by his commitment to undermine the laws of this country and to corrupt public officials. And Dana Larsen, you are the one that we should be holding up and saying, how dare you?
Well, Pamela, very strong words. I have to bring Dana in for this. What do you think about that, Dana?
Well, I had to chuckle, actually. I'm amazed that she thinks I have that much power, although certainly, you know, I have advocated for dispensaries, and I'm not the owner, but I'm the director of a nonprofit society that does operate 2 locations in the city. I certainly didn't pay anybody to show up last night, but we did offer people some training and assistance to help formulate what they wanted to say and make sure their voices were heard. But
well, your
I think
Facebook page, you say that you're raising money to pay people to come to City Hall, so that's your own Facebook page, Dana.
No, we didn't say we're paying anybody to come to City Hall.
You're raising $4,000 so that patients could make their way to City Hall. How can you possibly deny that you did that on Facebook?
We're not paying anybody to come to those hearings. I'm not sure exactly what post you're referring to, but certainly we do fundraise with Sensible BC.
You say you're raising money to bring patients to City Hall. How is that not paying people to speak? How is that not facilitating that?
Well, that's paying our staff to contact people. We do a lot of phone calling.
They didn't stick
around last night. No, not everybody wants to stay through a whole hearing. No, these are long procedures. A lot of people are sick, or they just don't want to stay until 10 or 11 o'clock.
How much were you paying them, Dana? How much were you paying them?
No, this is a bizarre accusation, and I'm surprised you're saying that. But we certainly
didn't
pay anybody to show up.
I actually have the documentation.
What we have done, however, is we run training sessions. We had 3 sessions, and we had a few dozen people show up. We signed up about half of those who attended did through our website at Sensible BC, and we've been working with dispensaries and meeting with dispensaries, encouraging them to get their patients to come out and speak, because we want to make sure that those voices are heard. And what I think what's happening at City Hall is a wonderful democratic process.
Why have you personally attacked me and put me as an anti-crusader to such a vile extent that the Huffington Post and the Vancouver Sun refused to post the blog and took it out of their archives? It was so vile. Why have you painted me as the villain in this and put it out to your mob and your people to target me?
I think you are kind of a villain in this regard, because you're trying to keep sick people from accessing a wonderful, beneficial medicine.
I'm upholding the laws of the federal government of this country. You are taking us in the direction of narco nation, and I and many other people are not going to stand by and watch you.
You know, there's not a gram more marijuana being sold in Vancouver now with these dispensaries than what there was before. But the difference is it's being sold in an over-the-counter and above a regulated way. The vast majority of people in Vancouver support dispensaries. They might want to see some regulations in place and want to limit the number that are there.
Okay, well, Pamela, can I ask you this?
Consistently.
Pamela, so the hearing, the public hearing is underway. The fact is there are almost 100 marijuana dispensaries currently operating in Vancouver. What would you like to see the city do? Would you like to see them just shut it down? Shut every single business down?
I live in a civilized society. We have law and order, and you enforce the law. If you don't like it, you don't break the law. You don't do what Dana Larsen's doing. You don't conspire against the Canadian government and the people of this country. You do it through legal means. That is what a democracy is about. This is an offense against democracy. That's how serious this is. And this is not going to happen with people like me watching over people like Dana Larsen, who like to take people like me and try and trash our careers and who we are publicly, and target scientists and science and lie and use deceit. This is not going to happen while people like me are on this watch.
Do you not think it's too late that this type of business is already well established in Vancouver, and so it is in Vancouver's best interest to at least try to regulate them?
How is it in our best interest to allow retail stores to sell product that is not tested for contaminants and pesticides and everything else? This product is dirty drugs. It's being dealt in part by the black market and Hell's Angels. How on earth is that in the public's interest? And anybody who thinks that Penny Ballum and Dr. Daly, who want to see all drugs legalized, including heroin, they have no support in the international drug community or the federal government. There isn't one country in the world except Uruguay who have made a step towards the legalization of marijuana, and Vancouver has no right taking this step. We have signed treaties with the United Nations. We are not going to do this, and Vancouver has no jurisdiction over this.
We've got legal marijuana on both sides of the border in British Columbia. In Alaska, Washington, Oregon, California's got essentially legal marijuana.
5% of Americans have voted for recreational marijuana. 5%
Those
of
about
the
chance,
electorate.
but actually a majority of Americans live in states that have legalized medical marijuana, and they're increasing their access every day, and that's under quite a harsh system. I think around the world people are moving towards legalization.
The last 14 only made CBD available, not THC. So you don't know what you're talking about, Dana. California rejected the legalization of marijuana in 2010.
And they're
okay,
vote
Pamela,
on it again,
let's hear from Dana about how last night's meeting went. How do you think it went last night?
Well, I think it's a wonderful expression of democracy, and what we're seeing here in Vancouver is grassroots democracy. And, we talk about the rule of law. Well, we have a constitution and a charter of rights in this country that protect people's access to cannabis. And when the federal government goes to court against medical marijuana, they lose again and again. They lost this morning when it comes to trying to restrict people to only using smoked medicine and not being able to take capsules or tinctures or extracts or creams or things like that. And so really it's a federal government that has been going against the court decisions, going against the rights of Canadians. That's why dispensaries have been able to proliferate.
That's not true.
Because of the federal court decisions and the federal government. The reason dispensaries are able to proliferate is because when they have been charged in the past and they go to court, a judge is not willing to put someone in prison for helping provide medical cannabis to those who need it. So they get discharges, they get community service. And so as a result of that, the police did not want to make the effort to come after dispensaries because there's no result. The same thing with bong shops. There's laws in this country against selling bongs and pipes, but people open those shops, and when they used to get busted in the early 90s, the courts would say a $1,000 fine. So they kind of stopped enforcing that law because we're willing to go to the wall to fight against these unjust laws. And the federal government is absolutely. It's called civil disobedience, and that's how things change. It's through civil disobedience. Open, transparent violation of laws that are unjust is a long-standing technique that has been used all around the world to fight against unjust laws.
He's a criminal, and he's somehow trying to justify himself.
I've never been charged with anything in my life. I've never been arrested. I've never been charged with anything.
Pamela, I'm afraid, Pamela and Dana, I am afraid we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much, both of you, for joining us.
Always good hearing from you, Pamela.